Hello friends, welcome back. Now today we'll discuss about the float of an activity in the project network. We'll understand the meaning of a float. We'll also understand the advantage of knowing the float, and we also will try to understand the various types of floats of an activity in a project network and how we compute data for any given project network. So let's get started. Let's first understand what is a float of an activity. Uh, Over here is given over here. The float of an activity is the amount of time an activity will have for a delay start without you actually disturbing the project completion time. Say for this example, say if you talk about the plot of this particular activity F, then it's the amount of time this activity F will have for a delay start without you disturbing this 25. This is the meaning of a plot. And what about the various types of floats? You are going to have a total of 4 different floats, and these 4 different floats will be because of the combination of these numbers over here. If you combine EI and EJ, you'll have one float. If you combine EI with LJ, you will have another float. LI and EJ will give another float, and LI and LJ will give the last float. So you are going to have a total of 4 different combinations, and because of these 4 different combinations, you are going to have these 4 different floats: total floats, free floats, independent floats, and finally the safety floats. Of all these 4 floats, total float is the one which is going to have the largest value, and this is the most important of all the floats. Now, what is total float? How do you compute this? If the combination is done on the basis of Lj and Ei, then you're going to have the total float Lj and Ei minus the time taken of the activity Ij, or activity X, which is Tij. So Lj minus Ei minus Tij will give the total floats. So if you combine Lj and Tij like this will give the latest starting time Ei. We have already known in previous video, it's going to give the early starting time of this activity. So the final outcome is the latest starting time minus the early starting time of the activity X is nothing but the total float. This can also be written in different way like this. If you combine EI and TIZ in this manner, then EI is the early starting time plus the time taken is the early finish time, and LJ is the latest finish time of the activity X. So it's LF, yani latest finish time minus early finish time, and this will give a total float. So let's come back again. Your total float is going to be computed on the basis of the assumption that this is the succeeding event, this is the preceding event of the activity X. So let total float is going to be computed on the assumption that the succeeding event occurs at the latest and the preceding event occurs at the earliest. The total float of an activity is computed under the assumption that the event I, which is the preceding event, occur at the earliest, and event J, which is the succeeding event, occurs at the latest. And this is how you find out a total float. Now, next float, free float. Now, free float is going to be you're going to compute the value of free float under the assumption that the succeeding event occur at the earliest. Both the succeeding and the preceding event occurs at the earliest. So EJ minus EI minus TIJ is going to give the free floats. So what is next combination? Next combination is the succeeding event occurs at the earliest and the preceding events occurs at the latest. The difference of these two minus the Tij time taken will give the independent floats. So the last possible combinations that we have is the safety floats. The safety float is both the events are occurring at the latest. So like this, and this will give your safety float. So now instead of IZ, let's take this activity for example over here. Then let me take it from here. This is the one, right? Now activity FC over here. This is activity F. Your I becomes 5, your I becomes 5 and J becomes 7, and EI is 10 and the LI is 14, this EJ is 16, uh, EI is 10, LI is 14, EJ is 16, LJ is 23, and the time taken TIJ is 6, your X is now F. So if you want to compute the total float for this, the total float was computed under the assumption that the succeeding event occurs at the latest, the preceding event occurs at the earliest, which means 26 minus 10 minus 6 will give the value of the total float. Now this is how you compute the floats of the various activity. Let's see how we compute for this network. This is the same network that we had done in the previous video, and these are the various computations. This is the one second, early starting time, early finish time, latest starting time, latest finish time. The computation of all these things was explained in the previous video. So let's come down to this. This is total float, free floats, independent float, and safety float. I've copied the formulas. I've copied these formulas over here again so that we can we don't have to look up all the time for the formula. Now let's start with the total float. Your total float is going to be computed by subtracting this LJ minus EI minus TIJ for all the activities. So for activity A, your LJ is 6, your EI is 0, 6 minus 0 minus 5, which is 1. Now for activity B, your LJ is 6, EI is 0, 6 minus 0 is 6 minus 4, which is 2. The same, let's do it for this activity. Let's say for this activity I. Activity I is here. Activity I, what are the values? Let me do it here. For activity I, your LJ is 25 minus, LJ is 25 over here, minus EI is 16, EI is 16. So let me put this one inside the bracket, and minus the time taken. What is the time taken? 2, which is nothing but 7. And this 7 you can also obtain by subtracting between the latest starting time and the early starting time. What is the latest starting time? This is latest starting time. What is the latest starting time is what? Latest starting time is 23 minus the early starting time is 16. This also will give the same value. So this is how you compute the total float for all the activity. The same will be done for this. If you want to compute the free float, say for example, let's do it for this one. Which one? Let's do it for the same activity. Say, what is the free float saying? It's both the events should occur at the earliest. Remember, the subtraction should be done from the subtraction should always be done from the succeeding event. Right, the preceding event should always be preceding these things should always be subtracted from the succeeding. Now, what is the free float? Free float is saying EJ should be subtracted from EI. What is EJ over here? EJ over here is 25 minus what is EI? EI is 16. 16 and then minus the time taken, right? Time taken minus the time taken. Time taken, I've given it here. So this is the one. Okay. So this is again 7. The same will be done for all these remaining activities of the network, and for this also it remains, the computations will remain the same. You'll have to look to this formula and do the computations, right? For this so for example, let's do it for this activity. What is this activity? Activity F, and I'm going to compute the independent float for activity F. right? Activity A, what is this saying? The event Z should occur at the earliest, event I should occur at the latest. So event J earliest is what, 16, and the event I is latest. What is the latest? 14. And minus the time taken. What is the time taken? This is the time taken duration, right? So if you do it, you'll have minus 4. Now see, you come to a total float column. Remember, this total float will always be greater than or equal to the value of any other float for that corresponding activity. For that corresponding activity, the other float cannot have a value greater than this total float. So, and also one more observations. The total float for all the critical activities over here are 0, right? The total float for all the critical activities of the network are all 0. And this is how you check your calculation. And now let's understand what is the advantage of knowing this float. What was the definition of float telling us? The definition of float telling us was telling us that this will give the amount of time available for each activity to have a delay start without you disturbing the project completion time. Right, the project completion time in this case is 25. Let's then take, for example, this activity. Right, what is this activity? Activity D. Now, activity D has a total float of 4. What is the meaning of this? Activity D has a total float of 4. This means this activity D, instead of you starting at 6, you can have a delay start by 4. Meaning what? It can start, even if you start this, earliest start, remember, is 6. Instead of you starting at earliest 6, you can even start at 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 latest, because 6 plus 4 is 10. If you try to start beyond 10, then this 25 will be disturbed. Till the time you start between 6 to 10, this will not disturb. This will not be disturbed. Right? So what is the advantage then? If you know this can have a delay start by 4 units, then the labor force, the workforce, the people who are working on with this activity can be asked. Say you decided to start at 10. Then from 6 to 10, you can ask these people who are working over here to go for a vacation so that you don't have to pay salary to them. Or you can even take these people to some other work and utilize them and bring back at 10 and make them work on this activity so that the project is completed at 25. Right? We don't utilize the workforce in this manner, either giving them vacations or taking them out and utilize in some other workforce, then you will end up paying salary to these people or this workforce without they doing anything for this. So knowing the float for the various activities is very important so that you control and manage the project so as to minimize the total cost of the project. Hope you understand. This is the advantage of knowing the float of the various activities of the project network, right? So of all the 4 floats, total float is the one which is most frequently used and is most important of the 4. Thank you very much. Thank you. See you in the next video. We shall talk about project crashing in the next video.